Hey, good morning, and welcome to an episode of Business Basics. My name is Lee Iben, and with me today is Chuck with Chuck Cycle down in Washington, Iowa. Chuck, it's great to have you here this morning. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You better believe it. Hey, Chuck, so tell us about Chuck Cycles. What's the background on the story? How'd you get involved with this? Go ahead.
I started working on bikes back around 99, 98, 99. I was riding them before that and working on my own, but I went to school at AMI in Daytona Beach.
Oh,
And, because I wanted to get out of the factory life and actually work on bikes.
right. So you probably own a couple bikes yourself, one for sure, right?
Yep. I've owned quite a few over the years.
Yeah. Do you have a brand that you like better than the other, or are they all pretty much, personal preference?
It's personal preference. They all have their good points and their bad points.
Yeah. And so do you sell cycles there or just repair only?
I just do service and repair.
Okay, good. And so your customers, just the Washington area only, state of Iowa? How far out do you go, Chuck?
It just depends. I've had guys bring bikes in from other places, but mostly just here in the state of Iowa, maybe a little bit into Illinois.
Right.
Johnson County, Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
Lynn County, that type of thing. I've had people bring them up from Burlington. So, I reach out a little ways, but it just depends on the customer.
Sure. And how do they hear about you? Is it primarily word of mouth? I mean, I think those who own bikes are a pretty tight-knit group, aren't they?
Yep. I hand out a lot of business cards. Word of mouth is my best thing. I do a little bit of advertising in the local paper and a little bit on the local radio station.
Okay. And which of those seem to work the best? Is it primarily the word of mouth that you really see the most benefit from, or is it just kind of a smattering of things?
I think it's the word of mouth I see the best out of.
Yeah, I can certainly see that because you're obviously good at what you do. You've been doing it for 8 years at this location anyway.
Yep.
But one guy that owns a bike and he's happy with your service, he's going to tell another buddy, another bike riding buddy. So
yeah.
Tell me about the backgrounds of your customers. I was surprised to learn not too long ago that a lot of dentists own Harleys, and that's their weekend getaway.
Yeah. I've seen doctors and lawyers, dentists, like you said, construction workers, chiropractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see all different fields. One of the guys that he actually worked at the university hospital and took care of my son with echocardiograms.
Okay.
He was an avid rider, great guy. Just a lot of different backgrounds, factory workers to like I said, lawyers and doctors, and everybody likes to get out and ride. At least most of us do.
Right. Well, right. But I think there's that misconception out there that, all bikers are, gang guys and things. So that's just not the case, is it? I mean, you got to wear the leathers. I mean, me personally, if I was riding a bike, Chuck, I would have a big skull and crossbones on my back just to keep people away from my bike. You know what I'm saying?
Like you said, with the gangs and stuff like that, not all bikers are that way. A majority of them aren't actually.
Right.
There's a lot of them that do ride with different organizations or clubs or, groups, just groups of friends or whatever.
Right. No, I love it. And I think it's growing in popularity, especially during COVID-19. Have you seen an uptick in business this year with COVID-19?
I have a little bit, but it's been kind of a sweet deal, but at the same time a hard deal because the COVID's affected so many different things that go with it.
Right. I was surprised. I think Sturgis had a big turnout this year. It is like, at the end of the day, people still want to get together. They still want to rally. They still want to have a good time together, and we got to live our life, right?
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting because other folks that I have spoken with that are in the, I guess, home-based, home-directed businesses like swimming pools. I spoke with a guy that builds construction buildings like shops and things, and he's seen an uptick in business just because people are home now with COVID-19. Like, you know what? Let's get that bike fixed. Let's get that thing on the road. I mean, we can social distance on the interstate.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So what do you see the most of? Is it just typical repairs or tune-ups, or what do you like to do the most?
I do a little bit of everything. I've had a few engine jobs going on this summer, rebuild a couple of transmissions, primarily Harleys on those.
Okay.
I don't do more than the service maintenance side of the metric bikes or anything else, just the in-depth stuff on Harley. I specialize in Harley.
Sure.
Um,
And Harley's a big name. Indian, I think, is another one out there. What other bikes do you see coming through?
I see Kawasaki's and Hondas and Yamahas, Suzuki's. I've worked on a few BMWs, some of the newer Triumphs.
Oh, really? Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I work on quite a few different brands.
Oh, I bet. And are there still? I know Gina's had a place up the road a while ago, but where's the closest place for bikes now?
Iowa City has Sun and Fun.
Yeah.
Which they also own, or what used to be Gina's BMW.
Okay.
Okay. And Don's Honda was incorporated in that, as well as Iowa City Motorsports, and they're all in the same building now.
Sure. Yeah. It's great though, after you purchase that bike, to know that, you know, after that initial honeymoon wears off, who's my service guy going to be, right? And that's where you fit in. And I'm sure your customers keep coming back year after year to have something done or talk shop with you.
Yeah, I see a lot of people.
Yeah. Do they, I would imagine too, Chuck, that they probably call you up for advice on things too, don't they?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I bet they do. Well, I mean, I would. I know nothing about a bike. And if I bought one, the first thing I do is call up Chuck Cycle, say, hey, why isn't this switch doing what it's supposed to do?
Yep.
So do you get a chance to ride out much yourself, or are you pretty much locked and loaded in the shop most of the time?
I do try to get out and do some riding.
Okay.
I tend to take off and get out of here on Saturdays and Sundays. And then I have one day through the week, Wednesdays, if I have doctor's appointments or something, I try to schedule them on that day.
Right. And do you typically, are you a year-round rider, or as much as you can anyway with the Iowa weather conditions?
As much as I can with the weather conditions. I don't own heated gear, but I do own heavy gear.
Oh, that's good. Especially in those January, February months, right?
Oh, yes.
So Chuck, what was the thought behind going into owning your own cycle shop, your own cycle repair shop? What was the thought behind all that?
I loved what I was doing, and I liked helping the customers and taking care of the customers. I just working at the dealership. I actually worked for a dealership for 13 years before I started this in 2012.
Okay.
And I wanted that be able to help the customers as best as I could, with still having a little bit of freedom to help my son or take off for his doctor's appointments, or do this, activities for him, stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah, that's so important, and I hear that again and again with a smaller business owner, where it's not necessarily the money. I mean, we have to be able to pay our bills, but it's more the flexibility around our family schedule that makes it attractive to own our own business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now tell me, do you have other employees that work with you, or is it just you?
It's just me.
Just you. All right, cool. And Chuck, tell me, what is your inspiration every day? What is it that gets you out of bed and motivates Chuck to go to work? What is it?
I like to see what new and interesting things I can run into. I've got one right now. I am trying to track a short on a 1500 Goldwing.
Oh, I don't even know what that means, Chuck. What is that?
It means it blows the fuse as soon as he hooks the battery up.
So that
Yeah.
that kind of a short the fuse. I wasn't sure if you're talking like a frame or a bar, but the actual
No,
fuse.
actual electrical short.
Oh, you're trying to follow that wire. I'm with you.
Yep.
Well, that is really cool. Now, Chuck, the one thing I like to ask everybody is, what's the piece of advice you can give to somebody who wants to start their own small business? What's that one thing you've learned over the past 8 years that is like, it was your aha moment?
Well, I had some good advice when I started. Today, I think it's the best advice I had, and kind of was my aha moment as I've been going through the years. It's like the advice is research it.
Yep.
Know what you're going to get into as far as what you want to do.
Right.
But also try to do some research and find out what kind of suppliers you've got, where you can get your stuff, who's going to be coming in, how are you going to advertise, but also set up your LLC and your accounting areas to start with. Get that base under you before you start, so that you have that support. So when I run into an issue, I can call down and talk to my accountant or the accounting, the place that does accounting for me.
Right.
I do most of my book work, but they do all the taxes and deductions and all that.
Right.
So I can call and talk to them. If I have other issues, I can always call and talk to a lawyer and take care of that side of it.
Right. Yeah, that's so important to know that, to know your numbers, keep track of those numbers. Whether you have a team, like you said, your accounting firm that you work with, entering those deposits each day, knowing, know what you did last year compared to this year, and if the numbers are up or down, is important for forecasting, especially with a small business owner, because your margins are a little bit tighter. And there are just a lot of little things that nickel and dime you to death as a business owner, aren't there?
Oh, tons.
Yeah. I know personally today I'm setting up my website, and I am not a website kind of a person. So I'm relearning, like everybody else, how to do a GoDaddy, how to do a lead pages, all this other stuff, right?
Oh, exactly.
It's not our area of expertise, Chuck. I mean, I'm coaching, you're rebuilding engines, and I mean, like, what website?
Yeah, exactly. The whole online thing is frustrating too, because you got some people that are just so into it, and they'll leave you all kinds of reviews, leave you, information. But typically with the word of mouth, I found that a lot of the people that are doing it, they're out riding, not doing the internet stuff.
Right. Right. That's a good thing. I mean, really, because it's challenging, I think, for some small business owners to try to respond back to every review that's left on Google or Yelp or somebody like that. I mean, especially with a one-man show like yourself, what you want to be doing is getting your hands greasy every day and doing what you do best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to take time to sit down and do, like you said, answer reviews, or to sit down with somebody to set up, do online stuff, that's expensive, to pay somebody to do that. It really is.
Right. It certainly is. And again, there's that, and then just all those other little things that you don't necessarily think about. Like you said, you have to have an attorney, you have to set up your LLC, you got to have an accounting firm if you're not going to do your QuickBooks yourself, or you are going to do part of your QuickBooks, but not all of your QuickBooks. And it is so important for us to be able to pull away at least for a little bit each week to work on our business, because if you don't, nobody will at this point.
Yeah. And that I have to admit, that's one of probably my biggest downfalls is the paperwork. I got to sit down and do the paperwork. So I'm like, oh, sales tax is coming up. I got to get caught up because I'm behind.
Yeah. Right. And that's not uncommon. I mean, it's not the thing that excites us the most. It's, fixing bikes. That's what excites us. And so our human nature is we just tend to put that stuff off. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's do it tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
So I find myself cramming the last 2 or 3 weeks to try to catch up my last couple of months to get it in so I can do my quarterly sales tax.
Right. So I guess the adage for both of us is, eat the frog first thing in the morning, right? Get that thing out of the way, and then we can go about doing what we like to do, right?
Yep.
Well, Chuck, don't go away. I'll wrap this up quick. Hey, thank you all for watching this episode of Business Basics. My featured guest today was Chuck with Chuck's Cycle down in Washington, Iowa. If you ride a bike, own a bike, or just have questions about a bike, give Chuck a call. Thank you, Chuck, for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You bet.